Hello everyone. Today I would like to talk to you about loneliness that so many people experience at the beginning of their awakening journey and sometimes even further along the way. Because let's be honest, we are social beings. We need to have people around us to share our problems, our successes, simply to share certain things about our life. We need people around us to feel that our life is complete, that we are sharing it with someone else. And when you step into your awakening journey, what very often happens is that you change your perception of the world so much, you change your beliefs, you change in a way that things that used to be interesting for you are not interesting for you anymore. And due to that change, you start feeling that the people in your life who you used to have as friends, family, acquaintances, colleagues, you stop resonating with them, or you start alienating them because they do not understand you anymore. They are not going through the same thing. Most of the time awakening is not happening in masses, so when you are awakening, it doesn't mean that everyone around you is going through the same thing. So usually it happens this way, that you are awakening and people in your life are not necessarily at the same stage as you are. So you start feeling that loneliness very, very heavy, that people who used to understand you don't understand you anymore, that your family doesn't really want to speak to you or treats you like crazy. And that can be really, really destructive. That feeling can be really devastating. I know that because I have been through that, although I have been quite lucky in a way that my partner stuck with me through thick and thin, through everything that I've been through. Even without understanding me, he was still there, to be around me. So I know how hard it is. And for me, to lower that sensation of loneliness in your life, there are two key things that are very, very important that I'm going to share with you in that video today. So if you feel that loneliness, that longing for connection on your spiritual path, but you just don't have it for the time being, then keep watching that video. So one of the first things that I had to realize for myself when I was going through this is that loneliness is still something that we feel inside ourselves. Although we think that it has to do with other people, at the end of the day, we can be surrounded by a huge amount of people and still feel very alone, right? Simply because the loneliness is a feeling that is born within yourself, and it's related to the way how you perceive yourself in the first place. Let me explain what I mean. Like years ago, I was terrified of being alone. Like I was in a place where I couldn't stay alone even for a day. I was feeling like this terrified feeling inside my chest. And I would do anything that I could back in time to find someone to be with me on that day. Like every day I was trying to find someone to be with me. And sometimes it was quite exhausting to feel that fear all the time, that, oh my God, I'm going to be alone. Oh my God, there is nobody to talk to me. There is nobody to listen to me. There is nobody I can share certain things with. And I have been running around like this for quite a long time, always searching for someone. And to be honest, there were very few moments in my life until then when I was alone, like truly alone without having anybody next to me. But it doesn't mean that I did not feel alone. So, and I came to the conclusion eventually, when I was getting a little bit tired of this running around and always searching for someone to be with me in my life, to not feel alone, I came to the conclusion that I need to start learning how to enjoy my own company first. Because the second I am comfortable with being alone, on my own, not alone, but not lonely, but alone, on my own, and I am not bored in my own company, and I always have something to do, the need to have someone disappears. And the need is the energy that you are always sending out into the universe when you feel, you need to have something, right? And this is a very low level energy. So when you are projecting that energy into the universe, you're just getting more of that energy for yourself. So when there is the need, instead of, for example, a desire, you are basically repelling what you really want for yourself. But when you learn to be comfortable in your own company, things change. Because when you come to that neutral state, you become much more open to actually have what you desire in your life. What does it actually mean to feel, comfortable in your own company? I will explain to you what I did for myself, and maybe it will resonate with you, and maybe it can inspire you of how you can find things for yourself to enjoy your own company. So back in time, I kind of asked myself, I am so busy running around searching for other people's company that I don't even know what I like doing in my life. I don't even ever spend time on my own, giving myself time to understand my needs, my wants, my likes, my dislikes, my passions, my hobbies, or anything whatsoever. So I started there. I started allowing myself to look first just in my own life, without it being related to anybody else. And I allowed myself to look, what would I like to do, like in that moment? If I didn't want to feel it with somebody else's company, what would I be doing on my own? And I can tell you, at the beginning, I didn't know. So I spent some time searching. But eventually, I kind of found things that I like actually doing. I remembered certain things that I used to do as a child. I remembered certain things that, for example, I made a mental note for myself. Yeah, that would be nice, doing these kind of things. So I picked up reading certain books, for example, psychology or NLP back in time. I picked up swimming, I picked up running or just walking outside and, reflecting on things like that. So that was already the first step to kind of lowering that desire, that need to be around someone else. The second thing that I had to understand, why am I so terrified of being alone? That was a very tough question. Because when you ask yourself that question, this question will give you a lot of limiting beliefs that you have for yourself. The answer for me, when I asked that question, was that I'm terrified of being alone because what if I will stay alone forever? What if nobody wants me in their life? What if I just end up, like an old lady with her cat, because back in time I had one cat. What if I end up like an old lady with one cat who, wouldn't have any friends and who would die and nobody would come to her funeral? So for me, it was really about that. And I had to understand, why do I think this way? Why do I think that's even an option? And I started digging deeper, and seeing where this leads me, to which conclusions can I come. And I came to the conclusions that I kind of told myself, well, I am not interesting. There is nothing really I can give for people. Yeah, I have a pretty face, so I can charm a man or something like that. But I'm not interesting. I'm like empty inside, which was, of course, not the truth, But I needed to see that. I needed to see for myself that I am lying to myself in the first place. Then I'm basing another belief, another layer of belief on top of that one. And that belief forces me to chase the company of other people, okay? So that was the first, these two things actually were the first things that I had to do for myself in terms of loneliness, so that I start slowly getting back my power in terms of I'm okay being alone, because I can always find that I'm an interesting person. That's true. I have so much life experience. I have so many funny stories that I can say, I can tell. I have so much knowledge to share. And on top of it, I don't need to be with other people all the time, because there are so many things I wanted always to do, but I never had time because I've never given myself time. So these two things helped me to start appreciating my own company, actually. And that was really powerful. That was this detachment that I had to make. The second I stopped being attached to that need to be around people, I could breathe more freely. I could immediately sense less lonely. Okay, that is step number one. The step number two, it's a little bit a step forward, because the second you feel comfortable with your own company, you need to allow yourself, well, what does it mean actually? That in your own company, you are yourself, right? You're not hiding, you're not pretending to be anything else. You're just you, and you're allowing yourself to be there, to be with yourself. So the step number two after that, you need to allow yourself to be you around other people. Which means, if, for example, you lost connections with everyone who was your friend, of course, family you don't choose, right? Family you're born with, you can create another family, like a soul family in your life. That would be different. But your birth family might not necessarily stick around you anyway. But the more you allow yourself to not pretend to be something else around other people, the more you will start noticing that people appear in your life who are just like you. So you need to allow yourself to be you and to also go out into the world a little bit, and explore and put yourself out there, which means, going to some social events, going to some places where you might think for yourself, oh, okay, what would be interesting for me, where I could meet people who are more or less like me. Like, I don't mean that you have to force yourself to go and network, like that is something I've done and it was horrible, and I'm never doing that again. I'm never forcing myself to go to some sort of networking business event or stuff like that where I'm like bored to death. No, I was choosing some events that were interesting for me. Events which were spiritually inclined, like for example some meditations or sound healing sessions. I went to several of them, or any sort of personal development workshops and stuff like that. And I started meeting people slowly. Plus, for myself, what happened as well with time is that I started working as a coach. I changed completely, my line of work. Obviously, I came out of the corporate world and I started working as a coach. So I started meeting people in terms of work, but who were much more like me. The people who were actually becoming my clients, they were very, very much like me. But of course, I cannot be friends with my clients right away. But eventually, when we stopped working together, the friendship will develop with some of them, and a lot of my clients are actually my friends right now. So it only simply happened because I allowed myself to be me in my coaching sessions. I did not pretend to be someone else. I didn't pretend to be better, to know better, nothing at all. I was an open book. I was just there sharing what I know and helping with the best I can and being myself. And that allowed my energy to attract people who are like me. And this is the step number 2. You simply need to allow yourself to get out in the world in a way that feels good to you. Not confine yourself in your house, like close down and go nowhere. But no, that could be good for the first phase, when you're focusing on yourself and when you're learning to be comfortable with yourself. That is good. That's what I also did. I spent like 4 months, more or less, like a hermit, completely closed in my house. I was just going to work and back home. But all the rest of the time I was spending on my own with my books, doing these activities that I liked. But that was this first phase when I had to relearn to be comfortable. Because I'm an amazing person, and I had to come back to that realization during this lonely time. But once that is solid, you need to allow yourself finally to step out into the world and share who you truly are with the world. Because that is how you will draw people to you who are just like you. If you hide, if you're not being yourself, if you believe that I cannot be myself for some reason, you will be blocking, you will be blocking the flow of people who are just like you. But the more you allow yourself to be you, the more you allow yourself to openly speak about things that you like, no matter with whom, even with total strangers, it's totally fine. I've done it several times. And of course, some people will look at you like you are totally nuts, but others will lean in and listen and to say, oh, interesting, I'm also into that kind of stuff. And that's how some of my, friendships started in the last years. So, and this is all how you can ease that feeling of being so alone, which is quite pervasive at the beginning of the spiritual awakening. And that's totally okay, because this is the time that's given for you to be with yourself. It's a very important stage of your awakening, when you go into sort of a cocoon, like where you create that cocoon around yourself that allows you to figure out who you are. Because unless you know who you are, you cannot really show up to the world as you are, right? But the second you know, it's your choice afterwards, whether to hide or, to show your beauty, your light, your preferences, everything that you are to the world. So these are my tips for you. If you feel alone right now in your journey, you can think how you can apply this to your life. And I know that it's challenging at the very beginning, but believe me, it's not forever. If you do these 2 things for yourself, it will start slowly shifting. You will start feeling okay, first of all, to be alone, and then you will start attracting more and more people who are just like you into your world. And, your life will again transform and feel complete and feel fulfilled. So let me know How do you feel on your awakening journey right now? Is it lonely, or are you partially lucky like me and you still have people in your life who understand what you're going through, who are more or less there with you, or at least who are also on their journey, but maybe a little bit further along, or further behind? So let me know, where are you standing on your journey and how do you feel right now? I would be really happy to hear from you. And don't forget, if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I will be sharing more of videos as I go forward. I will be also sharing more meditations here as I create them. So stick around for the good stuff, because it's coming. Thank you very much for watching, and I wish you an amazing journey and an amazing day and an amazing awakening journey. Love you all.